rage, that hurt, all just goes out from him. Simply at the face and at the voice of Jesus. And this demoniac rushes him, but not to hurt, but to sit at Jesus' feet in peace. We too need to have power over the inner demons that we feel at times, right? You know, the things that wake us up at 3 in the morning that we can't control, the things that make us toss and turn, the things that make us not like ourselves or like we want to be. Well, we should seek help, of course. That's why God works through counselors and doctors and etc. But in the midst of all that, let us not forget the one who simply by glancing at the demoniac could cast them out. Let us not stop seeking the words and the face and the presence of Jesus Christ, that amazing man. We do that. Let us make our prayer the same prayer that Whittier had in that beautiful poem. Drop thy still dews of quietness till all our striving cease. Take from our souls the strain and stress, and let our ordered lives confess the beauty of thy peace.
And a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that the power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease."
The medical profession, as we know it now, was non-existent in Jesus' day. Hospitals were colonies of outcasts on the fringe of town. Physicians, by and large back then, were sorcerers or soothsayers with charms and potions and magical chants. But then there's Jesus, who did not make a dollar off the hurt of others, but rather with compassion mingled with power, healed all. No exception, healed all. He healed them by touching, he healed them by talking, and sometimes, like in the passage that you just heard, he just healed by walking. And that woman bends over and touches his garment and feels the power. Isn't that something that we wish we could do? God, of course, heals wonderfully well through the medical profession, through science we have. But wouldn't it be nice if we could just, with our aches and pains in bodies that we thought once were invincible, wouldn't it be nice if we could just say, "Jesus, I want this. Let me touch you so I can be better"? But is that what our faith really is about? To get from Jesus what we want? No, maybe what we need to do in our discipleship is not so much be concerned about what Jesus can do for us. We need to be concerned about what Jesus has already done for us. You see, the healings that you just heard about, well, all those healings were temporary. All those healings ultimately failed because everyone Jesus ever healed ultimately would get sick and die. No, his healings were only an invitation for a deeper healing. Whenever he touched someone or healed someone, it was with the intent that that act of grace would heal the soul. That is a healing that survives mortality. And as he beautifully said, "Woman, daughter, you did it. You have it. Your faith, your hope in me, your trust in me, your love for me, that's made you whole. And that's what I want to give you." Let's be attentive to that. Never treat Jesus like a celestial gumball machine. Treat Jesus rather like the one who offers you that which no one else can, life here and life after here. That is what makes Jesus also amazing. Hence, 3 stories that awed people who witnessed them. Those are the stories that made Mark stop for a time his NASCAR style of riding, downshift, and go in first or second gear. Because he needed to feel the power again. Don't we all need to feel and recall the power of Christ? But you might note that there was something I left out in these long passages. There's a curious little segment, a couple of verses in the end of the demoniac's healing story that's curious when you think about it. It said that when news of the demoniac's healing hit town, people came out. They saw the demoniac sitting at Jesus' feet, and they begged Jesus to leave. They wanted him out. Why? They didn't know who he was. The only thing they knew was that this demoniac had demons that were powerful. And this man is more powerful than them. What's going to happen? Who is he? We don't want you around because we don't know you. Leave us. It's that same feeling that the woman who was healed by Jesus, when he asked, who touched me? She came in fear and trembling. Did you hear? If the only thing we knew about Jesus was that he had this power, that he could look at a demoniac, cast it out just by a glance and a word, that he could still the ocean, that he could just be walking along and power flies off from him. If that's all we knew about Jesus, we would be scared too. We'd be a bit apprehensive. Isn't it a good thing that Jesus did one other amazing thing that showed who he was and put it all in perspective?